大家好，谢谢捧场泰阁免费直播。今天我们要讨论这个常见的面试问题。Tell me about a time that you failed. 对很多人来说，这个问题很恐怖。在一个面试中，你应该怎么讨论你的缺点呢？ For this question, what the interviewer is really looking to figure out is whether you can actually identify times when you could have done better, and whether you know how to learn from those past mistakes to become a better employee. This is a question you should definitely prepare for ahead of time, because it will be very hard to think on the spot of a failure that is safe to bring up. You also want to be prepared ahead of time with a lesson you've learned from that failure, so that it's clear you're moving past it. Here are 3 steps to follow as you prepare your answer to this question. Step 1. Pick a time that you failed in a situation where it's understandable that you could have run into trouble. Think of a past academic or work project that was particularly ambitious, where you took on a lot of responsibility and was under a tight deadline. Not finishing something on time in such a difficult situation, while not ideal, is understandable for someone who may be inexperienced. Step 2. Take responsibility for any part you played in that failed situation. If it was a group project at school or at work, don't just blame your team members or your manager. Take responsibility for the mistakes that you made. It really shows maturity to own your mistakes. Step 3. Have the lessons you've learned from that failure and a plan to avoid future similar failures prepared ahead of time. As soon as you finish telling a story about a time that you failed, go right into what you learned from that failure and how you're working to avoid having similar problems. If, for example, you had multiple projects running at the same time and you managed your time poorly, causing you to miss a deadline, talk about how it made you realize you needed to improve your time management skills, and then mention new time management techniques you've been using since that failure. Here is one example response to the question, tell me about a time that you failed. I was given a challenging assignment by my manager that was a little bit above my skill level, but I accepted it, hoping to push myself. The project began well, but as we moved from requirements gathering to initial development, I began falling further and further behind my deadlines. Rather than raise red flags to my manager to ask for help, I continued to try to work longer and longer hours to make up for lagging behind. I was a young and new developer and hesitant to speak up when I was in over my head. I realize now that the project would have been better off had I spoken up sooner and made sure additional team members were added to support the project. Now, whenever I take on big new assignments, I make sure to review the entire scope of the project as well as my other parallel responsibilities, so that I can tell my manager what I can realistically achieve in the given deadlines. In this answer, I admitted to a real failure, I picked a situation where it was acceptable to have failed, and I showed that I immediately had a plan to improve myself to avoid similar failures. 总结来说，记住，面试官们真正想知道的是你能不能勇敢地承认你犯过的错误，并且从中学习到有价值的东西。在回答这个问题的时候，很重要的一点就是要提前做好准备。如果面试官问到这个问题的时候，你回答的支支吾吾，那么是很难让面试官相信你的故事的。